On October 24th, 2024, I was on a call with my team, sharing my plans for the upcoming weekend. I mentioned that I'd be going on a camping trip with no kids and the fact that I was bringing my dirt bike along. This sparked a discussion about how I usually have to be extra cautious when dirt biking with my kids, always hanging back to keep an eye on them. Knowing this trip was different, they made sure to remind me to stay safe, especially since I'd have no kids with me and could really cut loose. You might be wondering why I'm sharing this. Stay with me, it's all about to make sense. It was Saturday, October 26, 2024. The weather was perfect for an adventure, a lovely sunny day with temperatures in the 70s. My partner and I, along with a group of friends, were soaking up the beautiful fall weather in Utah's desert. The landscape stretched out before us, a vast expanse of sagebrush and dirt, with not a tree in sight. It was a classic desert scene, raw and open, inviting us to explore its rugged beauty. When we got to our camping site, I realized I had made a classic mistake. In my excitement to pack light without the kids, I brought the wrong dirt biking boots and forgot our helmets. So, there we were, about to tackle the desert in tennis shoes. Luckily, one of our friends had a spare helmet I could borrow, and as luck would have it, another friend was joining us later that day. They swung by my house to grab the forgotten gear before meeting us at the campsite. It was a humorous reminder that traveling without the kids sometimes means forgetting the essentials. The reason I'm sharing all this context is to set the stage. With the wrong boots and a borrowed helmet, I spent most of the day taking it easy, not really pushing my dirt bike. I was going nice and slow, feeling a bit out of my element without my usual gear. It just didn't feel right to push my limits under those conditions. Let's jump forward to the afternoon that day and my gear finally available. With my right leg swung over the bike, I fired it up, nodding to my friends with my helmet secure. Leading the group down a familiar trail, I opened up on the dirt road ahead, revving through the gears and feeling the surge of excitement. Now, I'd say, I'm not much of a thrill seeker, so after what some might call a satisfying 30 seconds, I started to slow down. As I downshifted, though, my attention drifted for just a moment. And then, a rock appeared out of nowhere, thought the consciousness. The next instant, the right handlebar swung back, slamming into my ribcage and knocking my right hand off of the handlebar. I got this thought, the subconscious, taking control. I yanked the handlebar back with my left hand, while trying to get my right hand back to the handlebar, but the bike nearly toppled. Instinctively, I dropped my right leg to stabilize, but at that speed, it lifted me slightly off the seat and the bike went into a wobble. I struggled to get back into position, barely holding on as the bike veered left, the only direction I had any control over as I was still only one-handed, fighting to get back into a riding position. Now, before we go further, let's break down what's going on between my body's hardware, or subconscious, and my conscious software. The dirt bike was still in a chaotic wobble, swinging unpredictably beneath me as I fought to regain control. My subconscious took over completely, reacting instantly to each bump and rock, adjusting my balance without conscious thought. My conscious mind, the software side, was firing off thoughts a mile a minute, running through worst-case scenarios, considering the ER visit ahead, tallying potential injuries. It was like a rapid calculation of everything that could go wrong. But these thoughts were just my conscious mind playing catch-up. Conscious thought doesn't work in real time. It's always a beat behind, planning, worrying, and trying to make sense of what's already happening. It was my subconscious, the deeper, instinctive layer of me, honed by years on four-wheelers and dirt bikes, that held the bike upright. If I'd been new to this, without those stored-up reflexes, I'd have hit the ground in seconds. The bike continued veering left, deeper into the sagebrush, while I fought to get my right hand back on the handlebar. It was still wobbling wildly, and the chaos made it tough to steady myself. Finally, my hand latched onto the right handlebar, right over the twist throttle. But in the scramble, I gripped it hard, so hard that I accidentally twisted the throttle, sending the bike surging forward. It wasn't intentional, but gassing it like that actually worked in my favor. That burst of speed pushed the bike out of its wobble, helping me regain control. But now I was tearing through sagebrush, off the dirt road, and dodging clumps of bushes and uneven ground, doing everything I could to keep from hitting anything solid. I veered to the right, steadying the bike, feeling the control come back to me as I slowed down and weaved my way through the last bit of sagebrush. Finally, I steered back onto the dirt road. Another rider within the group close behind me pulled up to me. They couldn't wrap their head around what they'd just seen, that somehow, against all odds, the bike hadn't gone down. To them, it looked like I'd pulled off some impossible save, keeping the dirt bike upright through what must have seemed like the craziest ride they'd ever witnessed. As I fought for control on that chaotic ride through the sagebrush, the experience was more than just a physical struggle. It was a dance, each element of my being interacting, responding, and supporting the next, creating a delicate balance between consciousness, subconscious processing, and instinct. Let's call it the tiered tangle, where each layer, each function, builds upon and shapes the others, creating a structure that's both stable and adaptive in the face of challenge. At the foundation of this tiered tangle is instinct, the hardware wired by evolution itself. Instinct drives our survival behaviors. Simple yet powerful responses like hunger, pain, avoidance, and the pull to protect ourselves. It's a layer we don't consciously direct. It's encoded in our DNA, sculpted by natural selection to ensure we can react to danger without hesitation. This layer was at play on that ride, delivering the rapid, unthinking physical responses that kept me from falling over. Above instinct lies the subconscious, acting as a bridge between raw instinct and conscious thought. The subconscious is part of the foundational hardware, shaped by years of interacting with the environment. It processes sensory input, shapes emotional and physical reactions, and draws from instinct and experience. In that chaotic moment, it was my subconscious, refined by years of dirt, biking, and four-wheeling, that took over, reacting automatically to keep the bike upright while I struggled to find my balance. It acted without conscious permission, yet I trusted it to steer me through. Then consciousness, the highest layer, built upon the foundation of both subconscious processing and instinct, kicked in. Consciousness is where we reflect, consider outcomes, and imagine possibilities. In that moment, while my subconscious managed the immediate crisis, my conscious mind was already painting worst-case scenarios, broken bones, emergency rooms, and all the risks that lay ahead. Conscious thought takes time to process, analyze, and predict, but without the grounding influence of instinct and the automatic responses of the subconscious, it's powerless in real-time danger. This tiered tangle, instinct, subconscious, and consciousness, worked in harmony, each layer feeding into the next, creating a coordinated response. As I twisted the throttle and shot out of the wobble, every layer had done its part, allowing me to pull through. And as I finally slowed down and returned to the road, the astonishment of the rider behind me was proof of that intricate, layered dance, an interplay of mind, body, and experience that, in moments like these, reminds us just how complex we really are.